Hey guys, welcome to Managing Mickey. Um, we wanted to get a hold of you guys today. We wanted to kind of talk about some of the things that we do when we plan our vacations. If you guys are able to chat, just kind of talk to us, let us know your. We'll see if we're not able to chat on the computer, we'll be able to on our phones.
Oops, so sorry. My bad.
What we wanted to talk about today was planning our trip to Disney World. We have one coming up in the summer. I know Becca has mentioned that she has one, and some other people that log on and watch periodically. They also have some trips. And so I thought, hey, let's talk about how we plan our trips, and maybe that'll help you guys plan yours. And at the same time, you guys can comment to us and let us know what all you do during your trip planning process that might help us even. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about was picking a resort. Now, we are DVC, so a lot of times we'll stay at a DVC hotel. Hi, Allison. How are you? One of the other things that we like to do is when we don't have points or something like that, because that's all based off of points, is we'll pick a hotel there in the parks. And so one of the things that we do is we don't just pick whatever the cheapest hotel is. A lot of times what we'll do is pick a hotel that has some sort of a special that's running. And you would think, well, maybe you can't get a good deal. But last year at 4th of July, we went and we were able to stay at Coronado Springs. And I was just looking yesterday, and our ticket price on that was around $150 a night. And so one thing that you can check on is we used another site. I'm trying to remember what it was that we compared some prices with. But in the end, we ended up using Disney for our booking agent, I guess you'd say, who we booked through. It wasn't like Expedia or anything like that. Hey, Mike, how are you?
Hey.
I agree with Tammy. Coronado was great. Super nice. They had a refurbishment that had gone on. And so that was super nice to have gotten in there. And like I say, $150 a night to stay at Coronado Springs is a pretty good price. And we never had any sort of a wait getting to the parks, that sort of thing. But a lot of times they'll have like different specials through the year, like a Fun and Sun or some sort of a summertime or a dining package included with your resort. Have any of y'all ever gotten in on any of those deals? Y'all let us know in the comments there in the chat section. We have picked a lot of our resorts that way. I mean, we've stayed at this last time we went in November, we stayed at Pop Century, and we got that the same way. We got a really good deal on Pop Century. Half the time it was across Thanksgiving, and half of it we paid $125 a night, and the other half we paid about $150 a night. And so those were both real good also. And so our suggestion is book when you want to go, but then periodically keep checking back with Disney and trying to get a lower price.
Yeah.
And so what was your favorite hotel we've ever stayed at, Cole?
My favorite hotel would probably have to be Pop Century.
Pop Century.
Yeah.
Wow. Because of the Skyliner?
A lot of it, yeah. It's just all the transportation, in my opinion. I mean, they have the best. What did we have to wait once ever for a bus?
Yeah, just for like maybe 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Pop is a good one. I agree, Mike.
Yeah.
The other hotel that we stayed at that I really enjoyed was the Polynesian. We enjoyed that because it was right there on the monorail, and they had the boats that would transport you back and forth. And then, of course, if you needed to go, that's all to the Magic Kingdom or to Epcot. But then if you needed to go somewhere else, you could just walk right over to the Ticket and Transportation Center. Yeah. It was so nice. You could always catch a bus.
Yeah. That was one of my other favorite resorts that we've stayed at.
Right. And so we really enjoyed that. We have an upcoming trip, and so in this video, we thought we'd base some of the things we talk about on our upcoming trip. This summer, we're going to be going and staying at Bay Lake Towers, and so we're super excited. We've never stayed at the Contemporary or Bay Lake, and so we're going to spend about 5 days during the summer at Bay Lake, and so we're super excited about that. And so that brings up a new question for us: is do we do the dining plan? You know, do we want to put the money forth to do that? And I don't know. In the past, I've told you guys I don't really think the dining plan's worth it a lot of times. But what has come about in the last few days that I've heard about, actually Tammy brought it to my attention, was that they're thinking about putting out a new type of dining plan. It's called Disney Dining Plus. I don't know if y'all have heard about it. If you have, let me know in the comments. The new Disney Dining Plus that they're talking about is supposed to maybe be open somewhere towards the end of February, I think the 27th. And they haven't released any pricing or anything like that. But from what I understand, it's going to be 2 table credits and 2 snacks per day. So that's a whole different type of dining plan. And depending on the price would depend on whether I would be interested. So, Mike, I'm pretty excited about it.
BLT is one of my favorite.
Bay Lake Towers.
Oh, okay. I thought he said
hey, I like the sandwich too. But yeah, I thought they had made an announcement about it, but I just didn't want to throw that out there for sure. But that's going to be a game changer if the price is low enough.
Yeah.
And so I like to go and not feel like I'm stressed out trying to do everything. But with 2 table credits and 2 snacks, you could utilize a snack a day for a breakfast, and then you could utilize the 2 table credits for lunches, and then you could have the other snack during the day. And it doesn't feel like you're wasting so much. And so I'm really interested in that. If they do come up with it, that may be something seriously that we're interested in doing.
Yeah, one of the best places to do like a snack dining credit wise would be at Starbucks.
Yeah.
And they have all sorts of options at Starbucks, including gluten-free foods like breakfast items.
They do have one gluten-free item there.
Actually, they have a few. They have a gluten-free scone, a gluten-free egg thing. I think there's another thing I just can't remember.
I don't think all the gluten-free items are on the menu for using a snack credit.
Yeah, that's true.
But
I know
it is a great place. Yeah,
I know one definitely the scone is.
Right. And so we're looking forward to that if that happens, because I feel like I can get my money's worth. I mean, I'd be drinking a coffee each day, and I'd probably do some sort of a breakfast item, and then using the 2 table services. At any point in this, if you guys think about some sort of a tip that you would give on how to plan differently in your vacation, be sure and write that out there, not just for our benefit, but for other people who are watching and will watch this video. They can see that stuff over there in the comments or the chat section, and then they can also maybe put that into practice in their lives and in their planning. And so but that's something we're thinking about doing as far as the dining package. And so the typical dining package up till now, if you're not familiar with it, you have quick service, then you have one that has a quick service and a table service and snacks, and then you have the one that has 3 table services and 2 snacks. And so this would just kind of, for our family, be a little bit of a game changer, and maybe we would try this out again and see how it worked out. I really think it would help probably quite a bit. In our planning. Yeah. The other thing that I thought would be something interesting to consider would be we had resorts and we had
rides. Or
no, you had it on our screen. It was resorts and what else?
Fast passes.
Fast passes. Thank you.
I'm trying to think of
if fast passes are something interesting because you can only book them 60 days out. This is the hard part for that with me. I don't know how many of y'all have planned a trip, But inevitably at Disney World, when you have to spend your time 180 days out planning your meal, then you get down to the time when you're going to plan your fast passes, and you can't necessarily guarantee that the first day of your trip you're going to have fast passes available at the times you want. Because just because it's 180 days out doesn't mean you get first choice. Because what happens is somebody else's vacation began 3 days ago. And so they're on a 10-day vacation. And so it's 180 days from the start of your vacation, which is fair in the end, but your first day makes it a lot harder for you to get the fast passes maybe that fit around your lunch schedule or your dinner schedule. And so for me, that whole fast pass business and planning the meals out in advance begins to be tricky, because what happens is you have to, cognitively think, where's it going to be at 60 days out for my fast passes? Where's it going to be when it comes to my time of getting my meals planned now at 180, and then 60 days out, I'm going to have to change some of those. At least that's what's happened to me. Y'all let me know, how do y'all reconcile that when you go to the park? Because I seemingly have trouble with that. I don't know about y'all. I welcome any chat on that, because that to me is very difficult.
Yeah.
So far, what I do is I just kind of pick breakfast times that are a little off kilter to what other people might do, and lunch times that are a little off kilter, so that when I plan the fast passes, I've planned it to where I know the fast passes are still possibly going to be available.
Yeah. Fast pass.
So that's why you put Animal Kingdom at the end of your trip. Makes getting the Flight of Passage Fast Pass easier. I'll agree with you, Mike. That's very smart to front load your trip with the days with rides and places that you're going to go that are not as popular. That's a brilliant idea.
That's actually really smart.
I thought of that. I just didn't tell you. See, no, that really is. That's a good idea. So fast passes, Mike, you say are your first priority. Well, believe it or not, I tell my family the same thing. I say what we need to do is figure out when we want to be at what, and then plan food places around it. So we think the same way. I just never thought about putting the more important rides towards the end. That's a great idea, because you have more of a shot at getting it.
Yeah.
Very smart.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else out there that's watching that might have some sort of an input there on how you guys might manipulate the system a little bit? I mean, if you're going, let me give you this. I mean, it's not going to get you your most sought after rides, but if you have a little bit of time out of your schedule that you don't mind spending time looking at a DVC resort and talking to the guys that sell it, they will offer you fast passes that will allow you to get on a lot of the rides. I think they give you 3 for going through the process. And you can maybe have, if you have a short trip, you can have the rides that you really wanted picked out, that you knew you had to have. And then you can pick up fast passes for the others that way by scheduling an early morning DVC showing. And all that has to go to that is one of the adults. And so you don't both have to be there for that. So that's kind of a trick if you've not ever done that. And Mike, if I know you're a DVC person, if you were to do that and just to go look at whatever's new that's out, they'll give them to you too. And so that's a little bit of a trick you can do if you're on a short trip and you want to have a couple of extra fast passes throughout the trip to improve your ability to get on rides. Something else that we were talking about was when we're planning for a trip, like we're planning for one this summer, and we're planning on flights. I know that has nothing to do with Disney, but it'd be interesting to find out how some of y'all might pay for your flights or get better deals or something like that. For our family, we have 2 ways that we've done it. I know people hate Spirit Airlines, and they're not a sponsor, and I'm not endorsing them in any way. But I'll tell you this, if you fly with Spirit Air, you can get flights a lot less expensive a lot of times than other companies. But That being said, if you're booking around a holiday time frame, you might as well set it up. Spirit, you might or you might not. It might be a $75 ticket one direction, and it might be a $395 ticket. They're a wild card when it comes to holidays. Any other time of the year, between $59 and $79 or so, you can generally get a ticket each direction. And so that's kind of how we do it. Know this, they're going to charge you for bags. And so I would be knowing that, walking into that. Around holidays, we've done well with United. They generally have pretty good flights at pretty good prices, is what I mean by that. $150 each direction. And so if you're flying out, around July 4th, like last year we did, or around Thanksgiving or something like that, that might be something that works out for you. But one thing we do is we like to use a credit card for purchases during the year, and then we'll use the points off that credit card to pay for some of our flights. And that has saved us, in November, it saved us $800 on flights. And so, what does that do? You guys
normally fly out of DFW?
We actually don't. We live midway between DFW and IAH out of Houston. And so more often than not, we fly out of Houston. It's about a 15-minute shorter flight, is one good reason. The other good reason is the way we get there. We take 59, and it takes you all the way down right by the airport. You get off. It's like 6 turns from our house, and we're there in as quick a time as you are driving to DFW. And there's a parking lot there that we use, and it's $6 a day, and it's covered. And so for us, I've just not found anything that can beat that as a general rule. And so that's generally where we fly out of, unless the flights are just more expensive. And then we will fly out of DFW.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to know where other people maybe fly out of and find their flights cheaper or something like that. I know another inexpensive flight company or airline that you can use is Frontier. That's a pretty inexpensive one, but they have limited flights, and they fly out of Shreveport, if I remember right. And so if I could ever find a trip that fell just right, I would certainly try it. That's just us though. And so, I know everybody flies different. I know a lot of people like to fly Southwest. We're not big Southwest fans. We've flown several, or I've flown several, and to me, there's not that much of a difference on a 2-hour flight. I'm certainly not about paying an extra $40 a ticket or more for another extra inch leg room in the seat. I mean, I can sit there a little more cramped for the time myself. Mm-hmm. But flights are usually one of the more expensive parts of going for us. Here's another thought. If you're going to go to Disney multiple times a year, it's usually worth it to buy an annual pass. And even if you're not going multiple times a year and you're renting a car or something like that while you're there, you still might want to do the math between parking and things of that nature if you want to buy an annual pass to get your discounts on food, your parking free, and I'm talking about at the parks, not the resorts. And then your discount on merchandise. That's something that I would consider if I was planning a trip and I didn't have annual passes. I would consider doing that. And so that's if you're not doing the dining plan, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to add to that.
He's the guy paying for the next trip. So
yeah.
All in all, that's kind of the major things we consider.
Yeah.
We do consider, where we're going to stay in relation to the park. Like this next time, we want to go to the Magic Kingdom, and we're going to have a short trip when we go stay at Bay Lake. And that's why we chose that hotel, is we knew we were going to spend a lot of time at Magic Kingdom. We plan on doing some pin trading while we're there. with the penetrating events that are in Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
We're meeting up with some people to eat a meal with them while we're there, and that's going to be just right around that same general area. And so for us, it was just kind of the ease of the day, and so that's why we chose to do it that way. But you guys can, of course, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any questions of anywhere or anything that you have difficulty with? Maybe we can shed some light on what we do in those circumstances, something like that. I'd be happy to look at any questions. I had a family member ask recently whether they should go on a Disney cruise or a Disney World trip as their first trip to Disney, to do anything with Disney. And my first advice is do a Disney World trip rather than a Disney cruise, mainly because I don't know how people are going to react to being on the water. And I'd hate for your first experience with Disney to be on the water and you not enjoy that.
Yeah.
There's also, I know at the cruise,
they're very different.
They're very different. There's lots of different things. The cruise is just not as busy as the park. It has a lot more of a laid back atmosphere. Mm-hmm. And if you're taking kids and you're wanting them to get the most out of it, to me, the park probably does it. Although, this year we planned a cruise and a park trip. So, we like both ultimately. Mm-hmm. We mostly fly out of Houston. That's right, Allison.
Yep.
But that's what we do regarding cruise, and that's what we would suggest regarding a cruise or going to the park. Mm-hmm. And I think your pricing is going to be really pretty close. If you pick a very inexpensive cruise at an off time, whenever it's kind of hurricane season and that sort of thing, I think you might be able to pull off a cruise for a little less expensive than a park trip. But all in all, when you're talking $7,000 for the cruise, you can still go to Disney for about the same money. You just may not eat every meal out like you would on a cruise, but you're going to experience a castle and you're going to experience rides. And the only real ride on a cruise is the aqueduct.
Yeah,
I mean, there's really not another big ride on the cruise. Plus, that cruise only covers what's on the boat. Or maybe on Castaway Cay. It doesn't cover your other stops if you're stopping at other ports. So if you're doing zip lining or snorkeling or any of that, even snorkeling at Castaway Cay costs money. Probably one of the cheapest places you can do it, but it does cost money. Mm-hmm. And so, well, I mean, I don't guess you guys have a whole lot of questions or a whole lot of things that you're wondering about as far as where to plan your trips or how to plan a trip or what you might do during the planning of a trip.
That's Gerard Boyer.
Okay. Hey, Gerard, how are you? One thing that you may think about is whether or not you want to rent a car. We've done that both, staying on and off property. We've done that also. And so staying off property was a little bit difficult because, well, we weren't familiar with the area. And so when we'd leave the property, it took us a long time to find the hotel and that sort of thing. And it was late at night. And so that was a difficult thing. Mm-hmm. You also get more magic hours and things like that when you're in the park. But you have to contend with Disney's transportation system. And so you're on hold some of the time and you're just sitting there waiting and kind of twiddling your thumbs. But think about this. These are some tips I'll give you that are maybe things that you don't know if you've not gone or haven't gone very many times. Disney has an app. And so I'll see if I can bring it up for you here and show you on my phone. They have this app right here. And so as it comes up, it'll come up and it gives you a park map up here. And it also gives you all sorts of other information, stores your pictures, anything like that. Tells you about events coming up, tells you about all sorts of things, how late the kingdoms are open, that sort of thing. I don't know if y'all can see that very well. But one of the things that it also does is you can access bus routes. And you can figure out when the buses are going to be at your hotel. you can figure out things like that, and that'll help to expedite your day a little bit easier. It won't tell you how many people are waiting in line at your hotel for that bus, but it does tell you when that bus is about to arrive.
Gerard Poirier said, "Hey, good going to Disney soon in April," and I think he was meaning.
Yeah, he's going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
I wish I was going in April. I really do. I'm a little bit envious of you there, Gerard. But we'll get there over the summer, and we'll have a good time. I'll bet you'll have a good time. I don't know how many days you have planned, but let me tell you, Flower and Garden is amazing.
Yes.
If you don't know, you got to go over to Epcot, and you got to check out the butterfly. I don't know what they call that, but they have a
butterfly exhibit.
They have a butterfly exhibit there. I don't remember what the name of it is, but that thing is super cool. Mm-hmm. You can go in there and see all the process of the butterflies being hatched and that sort of thing. And then they let them all go. So that's cool because they're native to the region there. You got to go see the topiaries and all that stuff. I would certainly spend some time in Epcot. They've got different foods and all that stuff. We're actually planning to put a video out here in a few days talking about all that.
Yeah.
And so
stay tuned to, I think it's going to be Saturday.
That's right. That's right. So be looking back Saturday, and you guys can see that video, and it'll be a good time, I'm sure, for you. The other thing, if you're going, now, Gerard, I don't remember if you traded pins or not. I'm thinking you are a pin trader. And if you trade pins, don't forget the Magic Kingdom has 4 pin trading events each day. And so when you're there at 10 a.m. up near Tony's Town Square, they have an event. And then at 12 o'clock, this is in the Magic Kingdom, they have a pin event at the trading post. They're in Frontierland. And then they have one at the Big Top Circus at 2, and then at PhilharMagic at 4. The pin trading event at 12 is probably the best of the day.
Yeah.
And usually on that big wooden platform out in front of
Frontierland Trading Post.
Frontierland Trading Post, that big platform, there's all sorts of people set up there trading pins with each other. And so if you're there and you see a guy named Alex or his wife, Joey, you tell them that we said hi with Managing Mickey, and then they trade pins with us all the time. They're friends of ours, super nice people. Mm-hmm. So take an opportunity and do that if you're over in that area around noon. But that's always fun. They bring out a big post, and it usually has new pins that are hidden Mickeys and that sort of thing all over it. And so, check that out and let us know in the comments how your trip went whenever you get back. It says we went to Disney a few times, but last time we went, we did pin trading for the first time. Well, there you go. Yeah. And so that Frontier Trading Post is a great place to pin trade and have a lot of fun. Other than that, what else were we going to tell them?
Well, you might talk about keeping in mind events like the Flower and Garden.
Oh, yes. When you're planning your trip, that's a great reminder. Keep in mind different events that are going to happen around the time you're going to get there, because these events are going to do 2 or 3 things. They might be something you're not interested in, and so you may want to avoid the park on that day. Like I remember when Star Wars Galaxy's Edge opened at Disney World, for instance. If you didn't care about going to Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and you were in Magic Kingdom that day, the park was virtually empty.
Yeah.
I mean, it was almost clean.
Yeah.
And they said you could walk on to all sorts of rides. And so keeping those sort of things in mind, you may not be there for what's opening, but you may be able to utilize a different park for that same purpose of not having a lot of people in there when you get there. And so that's something. I also know that this year, on the day after New Year's, so New Year's Day, rather than New Year's Eve, sorry about that, New Year's Day, the Magic Kingdom was virtually empty also. Everybody had stayed up super late the night before, and they were not in the park till almost noon before it got really busy. And so just keep things like that in mind, and you can plan around those events if you're just wanting the park for the park. But if you're wanting the event, well, then obviously you want to go. Like this week, you wouldn't have thought maybe it would be busy, But this week they had all those running events. And so with all the 10Ks and 5Ks and all that stuff, that brings people in by the droves. And so the parks were busy. They were very busy.
I remember we one time went during one of the runs.
We did?
It was real busy then too.
Yeah. Hollywood Studios was packed.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
Because they had to run through the park.
Yeah. The ending of the run came through Hollywood Studios.
And the other thing, we've been there during Christmas, and they'll shut the park down early. And you won't be able to stay and enjoy the rides for as late in the day. And so be sure and check out what's going on when you're planning your trip, and plan those things accordingly. So like what we did on those days is we knew we weren't going to stay for some of those late night events. And so we would plan that day at a different park. Or maybe you plan that day at that park, and if you have a hopper, you then hop over to another park, that sort of thing.
That's another thing to keep in mind is park hoppers, whether you should get them or if you shouldn't get them.
Yeah. Now, if you're planning your first trip and you're just going to do like 4 days or maybe even 5 days, I don't know that I would do a hopper. No. I would probably save the money and just go to each park, one park a day, and then at the end say, well, that was my favorite park here. I'm going to go back there. Mm-hmm. Most likely it's going to be the Magic Kingdom if it's your first time to ever go, but that's not always the case.
Yeah.
Some people like other parks just as well or more.
Yeah.
So, that's a great tip, Cole.
Mm-hmm.
And so we appreciate y'all joining us.
Yeah.
And we have enjoyed sharing with you. We're going to try and keep these down to around that 30-minute mark. If you guys have some more questions, be sure and comment down below. If you have some more suggestions for us on things that you'd like to see in a future video or topics you'd like us to discuss, be sure and comment that down below also. Mm-hmm. And so we appreciate y'all watching. And until next time, from our house to yours.